chants at certain sports games.
The Philadelphia Eagles have a great chant. I'll say that.
Maybe, but there are some ones that go around on the various shorts platforms that do suck.
Yes,
so
they do.
If the one thing that we import to you is chants and how to appropriately diss an enemy, then that's worth it for me.
Well, you know what? You're absolutely right. I love these chants. Maybe we'll hear some a little bit more enthused Gios after that incredible game. But we have to get through the draft first before we get there. And once again, we're seeing BLG ban the Orianna against Xiaohu.
Okay, so Azia, yep, there we go, needs to be taken off the board. It's the now deeper pockets of mid lane, so Annie rises a little bit in priority. You've got things like Victor that could maybe come into the fold as well. I think especially when you have got Xiaohu in your team, that's something to very heavily consider, because he's looked really good on the Victor throughout this entire split. But the Pantheon gets locked up for B1 of choice. Trundle is still available if somebody wants to take it. And I do think that that is the choice that I expect from Tian here in this bout of picks. Interestingly, the Sion gets locked in super early doors here for Breathe.
Yeah, and mostly just a takeaway from Bin, right? Because this guy's been so good on Sion. We're already seeing, because Pantheon, a little bit of low mobility and some options left in the mid lane, don't have ways of escaping, that maybe we want to go for some lockdown, but it looks like we're not going to see that, as Tian is going to lock in Rakan for his team. We'll see what his jungle pick is a little later.
So an early Rakan then taken, I mean, with Alistair off the board, with Rel off the board as well. This, maybe a Nautilus comes through for On, but I think if you put on Nautilus, you're sealing your own death sentence at this point, as BLG. So with a few other options being toyed with, the Nico gets locked in. So really good engage tools once again for On. It's whether or not he can find them. And again, after a shaky game number 1 where he's getting caught frequently, a Nico here to try and salvage that for game 2 could be a risk.
Okay, that means we might go for something a little bit more poke-oriented in this bot lane later on. We do know that BLG likes to default to picking a Yorick and allowing Bin to do his thing on a side lane. It's really good into the Sion, and Bin has been so good in Split 3, has really come back to being Giga Bin, so no surprise that that's going to be the lock-in.
The Sion typically is one of those answers to the Yorick, not because the Sion beats the Yorick necessarily, but because he can't be moved by him more than anything else. So Breathe should be able to stand at least a little bit firmer in that top matchup. You can also sort of use your Screech as the Sion to send the ghouls to Narnia again, which is always quite a fun interaction, as the Lovers duo does get locked in down on that bot side here by Weibo Gaming. So light on the Xayah. This was a game warping pick for them when they played against WE just a couple of days ago. But this time round, hopefully it's going to have the same impact, and with the Rakan by its side, some really good synergy here for Light and Crisp.
Now we're taking a look for BLG. Bot lane and mid lane still on the table for them, and for Weibo, it's mid lane and jungle. I do wonder what some of these bans are going to be. We're going to see Vi get taken away, so really don't want any of the remaining carries to just be locked down. And I do like that Sivert ban on the side of Weibo as well, just because anything you can do to get Pantheon moving forward is very strong.
Yeah, and with no Lucian ban here, it does give Elk some really good early game priority if he wants to take that pick himself. And the Victor, I think quite rightly taken off the board here, does then suggest that they're maybe looking for an Annie on 4-5 for BLG. And we'll see what it is that they want to take into that mid lane as well, because I do think that the Annie Pantheon duo is lethal enough to try and take out multiple members in a 2 versus 2 situation. And then for Weibo, they're looking to try and take their jungler here. Trundle's still open, seems like the easy call for me. And then they get to try and counterpick the mid lane. Oh, of course, yes. Yeah, Trundle is not the pick, that's obvious.
Trundle is not the pick, but it looks like it will be Skarner that is the pickup here for Weibo Gaming. So we really need to see some damage to pull this all together, and a high damage at that, Rudu, but they are going to give Xiaohu counter pick.
So BLG, what do they want here? I mean, the Victor ban again does suggest that they wanted to go for the Annie nice and early, but what bot lane are they going for? Lucian still available, makes sense if they want to go for this really heavy spiking mid-game duo, something that can actually fight toe-to-toe as well with the Xayah Rakan down on that bot side. Lucian, a really good AD carry at trying to get away from those dangerous positions as the Rakan dashes in. You know, you just use your Relentless Pursuit to dodge it, and typically that can go quite well for a bot lane 2 versus 2, especially with the poke from the Nico. I do fear that it doesn't give them the greatest of late-game scalings if they look for that choice. So going for something a little bit different, and we'll see which AD carry ends up getting locked.
I think Corki would have been a good option, but instead they're going to go with the late-game insurance policy on Zeri. Now Weibo, they're going to have to go pick a high-damage mid laner. In my head, I was thinking Sylas because you get to take this Nico ultimate, get to take Pantheon ultimate and make global plays. The lane could be a little bit rough, but honestly, out of all the mid laners left available, Rudude, it feels like the best option you have.
Yeah, and I mean, this is... I quite like this as well. I love stealing Zerial to your Sylas because
it's so
Zerial
good.
has some really good AP ratio scalings. So you just throw yourself in there and then you're just a nuke that you pop off. It's effectively an Amumu without the stun. But typically that does a lot more damage. And then you've got this really, not necessarily difficult laning phase, I don't think. I think that the range disadvantage is pretty much offset. This is going to be another D-Shield second wind kind of situation where we see melees able to sustain the laning phase because mages run out of a mana pool before the bruiser melee champions run out of health.
Yeah, and what I want to see for BLG here is Shadow just needs to attack Xiaohu all game long. You just need to keep this guy behind. Make sure he's so weak that when he steals one of these impactful ultimates, he's not going to do a whole lot. Yes, Kingslayer is a really good spell that allows you to sustain up in a fight, but if you just don't have any power behind you, you are eventually going to fall. And if you can keep him down, this Weibo composition loses all of their damage.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that they are very heavily reliant on light more than anything. Xiaohu's damage in this game is going to be very assassin-focused, very situational, and very geared toward finding one target. Whereas I think if we look at what it is that's been drafted on the other side for BLG, that kind of plays into Weibo's hands a little bit. They have to kill the Zeri. If they kill the Zeri, they'll be in a very good spot. If they don't kill the Zeri, then it's going to run amok and that's going to go crazy.
And they should have plenty of sustained damage, too, to be able to chew through this Scion and chew through this Skarner. Based on drafts, I'm already thinking that BLG probably has the advantage here. We could see a Game 3, but this is why we play the games, because with the way that BLG's been playing lately, their last 3 individual games have not been pretty. It feels like once they lost the game on that Otacon in Game 2, that they have been all out of sorts and stuck in a funk, dude. We'll have to see if they're able to break out of it as Game 2 is coming at you.
敌军还有30秒到达战场，碾碎他。
I can see the mouths moving.
I heard a little bit. It just wasn't a whole lot.
Yeah.
Very sad.
But I think you make some good points, though, Yanni, about the fact that BLG have got that consistent DPS, and that's what I think that the Lucian was going to be missing, and honestly, it's what the Corki would have been missing as well later on, is the ability to get through Tian and to get through Breathe. This is a very heavy front line. Not something that we've seen all that frequently, as they're looking now maybe for a little bit of a early engage. On takes 1 feather and 1 gleaming quill. But this Nico should be able to bully out the Xayah, bully out the Rakan early on, using that Comet, using the poke from the Q to just be a bit of a nuisance.
We see both junglers start on the bottom side of the map. It was a good ward by Weibo Gaming on those chickens because we know that maybe Shadow could have gone and made an early gank happen, and he would make an early gank happen if that ward wasn't there. But that ward,
Yanni, I've got a question.
Yes.
How can I play Nico as well as On?
Well, that's a good question. Well, the good news is, if you want to play Nico as good as On, you can take an opportunity to learn directly from the pros themselves. Whatever your rank, the best way to start climbing now is to schedule in a coaching session at prodiv.gg. You can work one-on-one with an active or recent player in the NACL, ERLs, or LTA that'll teach you to play like a pro. Use code LPL10 at checkout to save 10% and support the LPL English broadcast.
Thank you so much, Annie. I feel so much more informed on how I can play better Nico games in the support role, and hopefully get some better insight into my own capabilities as a solo queue support player as we transition back into the game and back into how this top matchup is going to look to go. It's going to see Breathe get bullied around a little bit, and we actually see Shadow going for a very quintessential Pantheon invade. This time, though, Tian is going to avoid the clutches of Pantheon, and he's going to clear his Krugs first.
You see Xiaohu going in, just trying to make sure that Knight doesn't have an easy way to roam over. Shadow gets flash forward on top of Tian.
Yoink!
Beauty.
Mine now!
We
Look at
love
his
that.
face.
And he takes the red too. It's
Look at
Jover,
Tian's face as well. He's like, what did this guy just do? What?
Oh man, that's so good. Elk forced to flash out here. You see a lot of early skirmishing, so it's both summoners out of Elk and both heals.
Why is there a psychopath in my jungle, Breeze? What happened?
Why is this game so psychopathic early? What the heck? There's so much fighting.
Okay, I mean, Knight has no mana. This is what I was talking about, where second wind plus Doran Shield, the mages run out of mana before the melees run out of health, which is, you know, a little bit saddening, to be honest, as a mage player, that's the way the game is, where you're supposed to be able to bully out these melee laners, but really they just stand, they take it all, and then they just live anyway. Either way, we have, you know, worth pointing out that Big Length Gaming are on the rift for us for this game. We've got two of the longest games, the two longest games, I should say, in this entire sport.
Yeah, it's an absolute marathon, right? And I wonder if we're going to get another one here. I don't know if that benefits them or not, man, because we know that Elk has the late game scaling of this Zeri. We know that Bin is going to be a nuisance on side lanes. But BLG just seem to lose every game that goes late.
And, you know, like we said, they're doing it for the practice. They're doing it to be able to one day go to internationals and win games at the late game up against the best of the best. We see an early lane swap being initiated here by both of our bot lanes. They move their way up to the top side, and Light and Elk, currently Elk getting the worst end of this situation, but I think this is a beneficial spot for the BLG bot lane, mainly because Elk actually went into a pull to begin with. If he can just stay the course, keep farming, he's actually going to get a bigger payout than Light will in that mid game.
Yep, I'm very happy about that. Anytime that Zeri can have an early game that isn't too disrupted, you're pretty happy. Although he is down summoners for right now. We will see if that impacts any of these upcoming fights later. The Grubs in about 3 minutes time, which is a little far in the future, but is worth talking about because, once again, we say it all the time. When there's a Yorick in the game, the Grubs become so important.
Engage on the top side as Elk has some really good damage onto Chris. I will note that in that little skirmish that BLG tried to take down on the bot side, it was actually Elk who came out on the worst end of it, had to flash away from the grand entrance and has had no flash since then. So I'd really like to see Tian try to make a move up to that top side, try to punish this flashless AD carry, because if you can't put Elk behind the curve, I mean, this game, Elk is quite happy currently. He's got a pull, he's farming evenly with his counterpart, and he's not really feeling pressured at all for not having a flash. So really every time the Elk gets to last hit a minion for free, it's time that Weibo are just wasting out on an opportunity to punish the Zeri.
And we know Tian is up here because there's a couple of wards down, but they had also pinged it out. They were aware that he was on his way. Shadow's on his way up as well, maybe looking to cut off this Skarner here, who all of a sudden finds himself in a little bit of trouble. He's going to get stunned up here. Good damage coming down the roots there too, but they just don't have a whole lot this early.
Yeah, and I think you can just see there that it's really smart from Tian. He's saving his E for when the Pantheon uses the stuns so that he can't get buffered out of it. Turns out that he doesn't have the need to use it anyway, and wants to save the threat just in case he can try and find a re-engage opportunity. But you can see that it is currently BLG who are getting the run of things, right? With pushing in mid lane, pushing in bot lane in this instance, and pushing top side as well. The fact that they scale better as well with this Zeri is a little bit scary, for the fact that Weibo don't really seem to have an answer to what's happening. But once again, we were here in game number 1 where BLG had this really solid plan for the laning phase where they initiate a swap and it goes really well for them. But then Weibo started just to make plays and we're absolutely fine.
The swap initiated here. It looks like it's going pretty well for themselves continuously, right? Even though, yes, it is the straight up 2v2. You're up. If you're Elk, obviously, this wave coming in, it's more so a little even, but Bin is continuing to get CS leads over Breathe. Here comes a knock-up and a dive. His Shadow is there. Light is in trouble, trying to dance around the turrets, but it's just not enough. It'll be first blood going over to Elk.
Yeah, and there's some of the spells all burned by Light just before he dings level 6 as well. It's really good timing from BLG as they look to put gold into the exact right avenue as well. Elk getting the first blood is exactly the type of position that BLG would like to put themselves in. Getting this Zeri more gold than she was potentially getting access to is exactly the way for them to succeed.
Yep, and again, not disrupted. The flash is still going to be available when you're next on the map. This does mean that Weibo will be the first to Grubs, though. And with Shadow on the bot side, it looks like Finn will have to rely on everything that Yorick has to offer and nothing more to get any split pushing work done.
And, you know, sometimes Yorick has the maiden highlight reel as well, so we could see that be fine, but also it's always a little bit disappointing as one of these split push tanks when you don't get the grubs and when your team just not necessarily sacrifices you to the cause, but when they don't think about your best interests. And then again, you have to remember that Breathe went through this a lot in the first game as well, so it is merely recompense for the first game.
You know, maybe later on Xiaohu will be able to take a good advantage of those. And heck, even Breathe. You know, eventually there will be times where he's left alone with turrets and he will welcome the benefits that he is going to reap. We do see the mid-jungle battery hovering around the bottom side here for BLG as this Cloud Dragon still remains standing for a while. It is Cloud Dragon, you know, so usually it's up for quite some time. It's not really overly impressive.
To unpoliticize it, teams don't care. We are not bothered about a Cloud Dragon.
So true, bestie, so true.
Xiaohu finding a quick little trade here in the mid lane. So it is going to be Rod of Ages on the Silas, so a little bit later on he's going to be quite the nuisance to try to get through as well. A reminder really that this game is just all about our AD carries really, with Elk being such a prized possession in this series, and in this game in particular he's going to be the one cutting through Breathe, cutting through Tian. Light is going to be the one doing the damage really for Weibo Gaming. Yes, there's a little bit of Xiaohu who will be able to hopefully assassinate Elk. The question really is, who is it that's going to be able to get on top of this Zeri? If they can take her down, then good things can happen. If not, then I expect to see BLG force us to a third game.
Shadow walking down here. Position to maybe do something, as they had spotted him out, so they said, you know what, we're going to get off the dragon here. You just don't have a whole lot of damage. And again, you know, that's one of the things we talked about. The game is really on Light's shoulders. You were just talking about it too when we talked about it before. Low damage coming out from Weibo means it is a lot harder to actually get these objectives done.
And I will say as well, you know, we saw in the lower third there, 23 and 14, I believe the all-time win rate for Light. A shout out to our producer, Rare Adam, the guy who's just pulling stats for us and, you know, creating these lower thirds that are giving us some good little action and things to think about, to theorize, to laugh at as well through our mid-game woes, because these two teams are fully vibing right now. We are waiting for the Zeri to cash in on 3 items. This is nothing really too entertaining, and we are doing our best to get through the early struggles before these teams really start to explode.
Are you telling me it's big length gaming again? Like, we're just going to go late, continuously go late?
Big, long games.
Oh, big, long games, baby. Big fan of big, long games, except when I'm in them, because I want to win all my games. Anywho, Dragon started up by Shadow here. Should be relatively unbothered, simply because we have push for BLG's bot lane, so they will eventually get this Dragon, but again, it's so late that stacking, you would say, would typically be abandoned. However, it is big, long gaming. Not to be confused with Jing Dong gaming. That's true.
That's true. That's true. And we do need to make sure, of course, that with those first Dragons being secured at 11 minutes in, you know, the 33-minute soul win condition isn't being fully emphasized as BLG. I think that's 5 minutes after the soonest they could get it. Actually, is. We'll have to keep our eyes out for what Weibo look to do in response. It is BLG who have a small gold lead for the time being, and it is largely sat in that bot lane role. Elk has gone back to base, finished up his Yuntal. He has a 10 CS lead, a couple of plates being picked up as well, and let's look at the player cams. He's rubbing his hands together, setting himself back up. Feels like he's in a good position in this game, because honestly he is. I'm looking at the lockdown and looking at the CC and the ability to kill a Zeri. It's very hit or miss, right? It's skill shots, it's impale landing, it's crisp finding the engage, it's whether Tian can impale the Zeri. And when you're sat there as a Zeri with QSS probably getting picked up at some point, you're probably feeling quite safe.
Yeah, and not only that, Tian and Crisp, and maybe even Breathe can get there, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean they can actually kill him, right? We talk about, again, the lack of damage. Sure, if you get flushed by a Scion ultimate, all right, you messed up. But everybody else, right, like Crisp isn't going to deal much damage. Tian's not going to deal enough damage that you're going to be super scared of, and you're going to be able to just kind of ultimate and ghost and skate away. So he should be just fine. He hasn't even popped that call yet, so that's how you know you're in a good spot. When you finish your first item and your call hasn't even been popped.
big long games versus Waits Baron Gaming. We'll see. You know, 25 minutes, it got pushed back a little bit. Weibo, they're still scared of it. BLG, they don't know how to end with a Baron. And hey man, the week 4 trends have certainly been worrying for BLG. Weibo though, I mean, even taking that first game was certainly a little bit of a upset to my expectations.
For sure.
Remind people of the state of play really with these two sides, that BLG are probably pretty much already locked for playoffs without having to go through play-ins, let's be honest. But for Weibo, they've got to play BLG now and do whatever they do in this series, and then they've got probably 3 other really difficult series to play before their season ends and before they go into the off season. So any win that they can get to push themselves into the top 4, especially a sniper way against BLG, is going to be really important.
Here we go. We're going for a full dive here. Multiple ultimates popping. Xiaohu's trying to stay alive. They force the flash out of Shadow. And here comes Tian. Knight is a little bit low, but Shadow is just caught on the backside, slammed into the wall, and he is just in no man's land. And they're going to give this one over to the Silas. Meanwhile, Weibo Gaming maybe wanting a little bit more here. Crisp stepping up very far. We'll be able to slide out. Tian going to walk up, tank everything up. Flash, impale. Yeah, that's not the one, buddy.
Yeah, on did flash it as well.
He did. They did burn a critical summoner there. Tian continues to push forward. Elk is going to drop the ultimate down, but the question is, do you have enough damage at this point of the game? Here's Xiaohu and a teleport coming in. Scripps can't quite land the knockup. There's a good Tibbers, and Knight is going to be able to flash away. Bin joins the fight. Light is cooked right now as BLG completely turn it on its head. And here comes Sion. He's doing a little bit of damage here. Will knock up Bin on the side, but Xiaohu is just so low right now. And Breathe doesn't really bring much value into this fight. The question is, can Bin actually get a kill? And I think the answer is no.
Yeah, just not quite able to take down the Lumberjack here, as we get to see a little bit of a glimpse, really, of what Elk can do in these team fights. He's constantly pumping damage, able to pretty much 1 versus 3 in that back half of the fight. And BLG take the initiative to actually move up to the Herald off the back of this. It was a play that they initiated down on the bot side. It was a dive that, again, Xiaohu does very well to stave off. A little bit of a visual error as he actually steals away the Nico ulti, I believe, instead of the Pantheon ulti. So he steals Nico ult, gets a double Pot Blossom, which is really good to stall out. And then in comes Crisp, just to play that little bit of time run anchor, keep his mid lane alive. Shadow's caught out here, that's absolutely fine. But it's the back half of this play where you get to see the power that Elk has in these fights, and sort of a precursor for what is to come, really, more so than anything else. Where Tian, again, flash for flash trade here with On. Not the biggest deal in the world, as you were looking for Nico, not quite able to find it. But then Elk, quite rightly, just sort of stands firm and goes, actually, I kind of want to fight here. I'm feeling good with my Yuntal. And I think that Xiaohu here, with a rare miss on these skill shots, looks for Knight instead of going for Elk, because mid lane Light's dead.
Yeah, he's just instantly gone, and Crisp burns his ultimate, and they get nothing as BLG really starting to take over. Elk getting huge, and just a lot of miscues from Weibo Gaming, looking like the Weibo Gaming we expected to see.
And sensing Light did not press tab, because the amount of times that Nikos get on top of AD carries without flash is very few, very minimal. And now BLG going to look to leverage this probably into a dragon as well. That Hextech Drake is live. Got 4 members down on this bot side. They've got Bin already tearing through another turret. This is BLG starting to come away with a really solid advantage, and honestly putting the screws to Weibo in this game.
Again, we have seen a couple of times now BLG have these early leads and kind of bungle them a little bit. Weibo Gaming getting punished for their hubris, though, and their over-aggression. We are going to see an Impale go down as they're going to target out Elk here. He gets driven back, and that's a big kill for Xiaohu.
And again, it's the Silas getting a hold of the gold, which I think is probably the best place for it to be. Light's going to struggle to get access to the Zeri, and even when, you know, the Zayav and Zeri go blow for blow with each other, the Zeri's probably going to come out on top of all of that, unless the Zaya's got a ton of feathers stacked up. So if Xiaohu can just take a Zeri ulti and one-pop out, I think that's their best way of taking down the AD carry that is going to be the linchpin of this BLG roster.
Without a doubt, Xiaohu is going to find himself immediately in trouble. He's going to be able to dash out, but a nice play there to pop the blast plant. The Kingslayer won't save you. Bin is now 2-0, and the Goon squad of the top side gets it done.
Great flash blast cone play by Bin there as he keeps Xiaohu from being able to get out to safety. He has to use the abscond to get out of the Dark Procession, and one has to try at the very least to get behind the cone, but it's been well recognized, it's been well read by Bin as he keeps Xiaohu in his place. Again, the person on the team that has been getting the most gold is the only one really with a gold advantage, and the fact that he loses out on his opportunity to push that any further is going to be a really big deal.
And it's so tough for him because there's just so much pressure on his shoulders this game, not only just having all the kills, but we knew the comp was going to have a little bit of a lack of damage, and that he was also going to be instrumental in really bursting out some of these targets, as you said, more of an assassin gameplay, even though he's going to be tankier, just blowing somebody up, but not being able to do that in this game, or getting set behind even, just allows BLG so much purchase here, right? They're up on the top side right now, looking for a little bit of damage down, a little bit of clearing here. You see Otacon up in about a minute. Shadow is going to take a blast point and get out of there.
They're taking this fight knowing that Breathe has no ultimate if they were to try to call for the TP.
That's wild.
So, yeah, I was a little bit confused about the whole idea that they had there, but fortunately enough for them, I think BLG just maybe a little bit more confused and went, something's fishy. I don't like it, and we'll not do anything with it. With nothing to fight for on that top side as well, they don't really elect to go for it, and now, with the numbers advantage, they see every opportunity.
We stopped them. Stopped them in the wall. The question is, do they have the damage? And the answer is no. They will be able to get the heal out of Crisp.
Yeah, and I think that's important. Summon a heal gives them movement speed, which allows the Skarner to get out to safety. But you see there that Tian using the E, I talked about this in the gank that we saw, like level 3, level 4. He uses the E, which then means that there's an opportunity for Shadow to interrupt it with his W, but not necessarily going to mean all that much with Summon a Heal having gone down, and now the Atacon spawning on that top side. You'd expect teams to turn their attention up to this top lane and try to take down that neutral objective.
Yeah, a Rose difference here for BLG. They're up at least a couple here. Dragging up in about 2 minutes. See where their sights are going to be. Either Soul Point for Infernal or Otacon, but who knows? They could get both. They may also say, hey, we want to stay away from Otacon. We've had some pretty poor luck with Otacon.
Yeah, let's just either let's take our vengeance or let's absolutely leave it to the wolves, let's say. But I do want to highlight once again the disparity between our AD carries. I think this is going to be very important for this match and for this series as well. We've got 2 items have been hit now for Elk. He's finished that Runar's Hurricane. He's working up the gold to get towards that Infinity Edge. And on the flip side, Light doesn't yet have those Flicker Blades picked up at all. He's going to really struggle as he misses another cannon minion there to get to those Flicker Blades before any point of contestation happens. We know that the Atacon can start really at any given moment when you've got the Zeri. 2 items finished across the board for BLG, and I think the Weibo don't really have the chance to contest anything when that's the case.
And it's so difficult for Weibo Gaming to play when Light is struggling in, right? Because we talked about earlier how like Breathe has been a really consistent force for this team, maybe less so in Split 3, but Light also has been a really big anchor in a good way for this team throughout the year, where it's like, okay, he's the guy that you've been able to rely on because you've gotten inconsistent performances from Xiaohu. You had the support carousel earlier in the year. Tian is just kind of there sometimes. It was Light and it was Breathe the ones really keeping it together. And when he's struggling, I mean, at least Xiaohu is playing well this time. He's 3-1 in this game, but you think that if Light was playing optimally in this one, that Weibo would be in a much better spot.
Stolen away Zeri ulti means again, big nuke from Xiaohu. You see Tian and Crisp working through the wings. It's not to be unmatched.
Hey, oh, nice play there by Honest. They managed to catch up the Skarner, and Tian is just dead. Crisp goes in, but there's just no follow-up to be had.
Yeah, Mel just able to find a quick pick there, and well played with his squad. Doesn't even use the ulti, so he's still able to contribute to a team fight as Tian goes fishing with the Impale, finds 2 people that aren't particularly of interest, 2 Crisp or 2 to Xiaohu. Now they're looking to try, it looks like, and take a tier 1 turret. No contest can come through whatsoever. BLG in a very, very solid position. They'll take the Atacon, they'll take the kill, and Weibo say nothing about it.
Now let's see if Bin has something to say about this Dragon take here. He's got an idea that it's going on. As he sends a ghoul in for some scouting business, but it looks like he will back off and they will just let this one go and allow Weibo Gaming to break the Dragon's.
buys them 5 more minutes, but I don't know what good 5 more minutes will do them when they're playing a game against a Zeri who is more than favoured to take another 5 minutes, more than happy to have that happen.
Hey, you know. You know
exactly
what 5 more minutes means. It means Big Long Gaming gets to late game and loses the game.
This is true. Yeah, this is their plan, right? Get to the late game, scale, fail.
They outscale us though, guys. Weibo taking that dragon, but they outscale us, guys. It doesn't matter. They can't play late game.
Well, yeah, it's the new win lane lose game. It's the scale and fail, really.
The scale and fail, I love it.
The
Can't
BLG classic.
Can't wait to bust that out when we're playing Flex Q with the boys. And Cubby says, "Don't worry, we score."
Ah yes, the scale and fail. We'll just play for a 7-item Kaiser and hope that'll do it.
A 7-item?
Yeah.
Oh my
that's
God.
That's what you're scaling for.
Where are we getting the extra item from? How are we doing
That's the BLG
this?
win condition, is the 7th item.
The 7th item was the Zephyr that they removed from the game. Rest in peace, if you know, you know.
They even bought it back for a little bit as well.
Yeah, then they took it away again.
Yeah,
Never forget what they took from us.
Never.
24 and a half minutes in this game. Of course I remember CC Rock Portal. I've been playing since Season 2, buddy. I have Judgment Kale.
Oh.
I got that in 2011. I was not really playing the game too much then. But I did get it in 2011.
Do you remember what your first skin was?
My first skin was White Mage Vagar.
Oh.
This is my favorite champion.
What were your first
skins?
skins?
No, wait. No, don't answer that, guys.
No?
No, that's one of the things that maybe I shouldn't say. Some people might know.
Alright, okay. Well, either way.
Alright, that's one of the Riot recovery questions. Please don't take my account. I really cherish it.
Never mind. My bad.
I have both Transcendent skins. I cherish this account. Anyway, Xiaohu going in here, trying to get some good damage down on the Shadow. He's got the Impale, pulling him away.
Oh, hold on,
Xiaohu! The
Xiaohu!
first kill. Now Elk is going to be targeted. The exhaust is there, but the charm is not. The light, though, flashing forward, looking to find out Xiaohu from an angle, and Weibo Gaming are doing it! They're doing it! BLG are throwing it away, and the Baron's been started, Rudude.
And they've just lost 3 people. They've lost their jungler. Xiaohu's fishing for Knight, who you don't imagine can do anything, really. This is just an Annie all on their own. Ben's able to push in the mid-wave, but Weibo, again, just in the blink of an eye, have found themselves in a position to take the Baron on spawn.
My goodness, man. BLG just overextending once again.
What happened to Wait Baron Gaming? What happened?
Yeah, they waited to 25.5 minutes. That's all the waiting they had to do.
I see. And it's BLG again engaging on this, but Xiaohu buffers the steal of the Pot Blossom and then looks really aggressively and catches Elk as well. He can't quite figure it out that he's going to get caught by it, and it ends up costing him dearly. He tries to DPS onto Crisp as well to try and find something back, make the best of the bad situation. But that just gives the opening for Light to flash in and tear him to shreds.
And once again, it's a critical mistake from the BLG jungler. Shadow just up a little too far. And this game, as we've mentioned, has now been turned on its head. As Weibo Gaming looking to push in the mid lane here. They're not even quite multiple people strong, but they're finally going to get there. Shadow is here on a flank, but honestly, without even in a 4v4, I worry that they just don't have the damage right now. Knight hasn't really done too much of anything, and a lot of these guys are meatballs on the side of Weibo.
I'm a massive Annie hater, just known really, but this is my fear for why is Weibo here. They should be using this time to try and get gold back. They're still at a gold deficit, mind you, so they are not in a good spot in the game. They just kind of stole away back into it potentially. As we might get to see Crisp. Nope, he's absolutely fine. Thought he could be caught out by a Tangle Bob, which was just going to W it if that were the case. But this is where they get gold. This is where they get a little bit of time back out on the map. They've already taken the tier 1 in the mid lane, and you can see that across the rest of the map, no other turrets have been taken. Breathe still doesn't have control of the side lane over Bin when he's got the Baron.
He's just there, just kind of being held as, yeah, you take a look at that stat. I mean, Weibo
Win
is
Baron Gaming.
Just, yes, apparently so. 3 for 3 on Barons versus BLG. The average power play being about 2,500 gold is huge. We have 20 seconds until this dragon is up. BLG need to secure this one because you just can't let Weibo drag out this game even more with the mistakes that have been happening on BLG. It sucks to say, but these mistakes are costing them, and the longer the game goes, the more opportunity there are for mistakes.
Tian, though, walking in, has to face
Oh, hang
Jen.
on. Here's the mistake. They might have the damage to burst him out. He's going to flash away. They're going to try to chase him down. He will be able to find a way out of there, but this could be the dragon because here comes the teleport. Jungler's not going to be there. Xiaohu, though, is going in. He's got the Zeri ultimate, and he blows up on. It's a 4v4 for right now, but Tian elected to stay as this dragon has been started up. He doesn't have any camps to heal off of. What's he doing?
They don't have anything to kill Elk with now, though. How are they going to get on top of the Zeri? And they don't have the HP to get Tian in, surely.
All right, well, they're just going to say, screw it, we're going in anyway. Xiaohu looking for damage on the bin. It's not a whole lot. Knight still has the stun, but no anti-ultimate as the dragon is going to be secured by Weibo as BLG.
Run!
Do not want it.
Elk hops over the wall there and just completely nullifies anything that he can look to do in that team fight. Crisp and Xiaohu, they're still fishing. They fancy somebody who's coming way back.
What the heck is going on, bro?
Big, long games.
Oh,
Hello!
okay, they found him. Here we go. Xiaohu have enough damage. They're going to force a teleport out, but the question is, if they actually escape, they will be able to.
Okay, well, that's actually pretty good that they get Knight's TP out there.
Very nice.
Able to stop him from walking up to that top side, and I think that secures tier 1 turret for them, actually, because Knight was planning on walking up to that top lane, clearing out and catching that wave. I don't think he's going to be able to get there in time. Might not get the turret, but he'll definitely lose out on a lot of gold for it. This is the power that the front line brings you, though. The fact that Tian is able to live here, he absorbs a lot of damage and buys a lot of time. Elk hops over the wall, but isn't quite able to chase down. And then this is the power that I'm talking about with the Zeri ultimate. You see On, just gets popped. Good night.
Yeah, see you later. See you in the next fight, buddy. As, again, we talked about that lack of damage could be a problem, but guess what? Everybody's fine. The question is, can they blow up Xiaohu? He's got the Pop Blossom. It's huge damage as he's taken over, but he finally falls. It all goes to light now, but Shadow is just off in no man's land on the other side of the fight. Nobody was around for BLG to do anything more as Weibo's Xiaohu, so strong this game, willing his team to victory.
But what can they get from this? They find 3 kills, but the map still looks bleak for them. They've got no control in side lanes. They had no push over mid lane. And somehow BLG are constantly able to offset the time with which Weibo have on the map. Looks like tier 1 turret's going to fall on that top side. Finally, they'll be able to claim a little bit of gold. But let's get a glimpse of how all of this started. It's just Xiaohu once again fishing and lurking in these bushes. Crisp, though, great engage, catches Knight, catches On, and somehow Elk finds himself in the middle of 3 people, tagged by the Impale, tagged by Nico ulti. It makes no sense that he ever feels that confident to step up like that.
He felt that he had to. He used his ultimate on Xiaohu. He's like, I must kill this guy. He wanted to make sure that it landed. I think, yeah, he was a little too close. And it costs him dearly. Some positioning errors from Elk, a guy who, you know, we've talked about throughout the years. You know, something's just not quite right. Split 3 looks like he's the Elk of old. But today, the positioning issues have plagued him big time. They're a big reason why that BLG isn't able to bring these games home.
Picture in picture there, showing that Breed did have to burn his ultimate. Don't really think it's too important.
Don't worry, it's up.
Back once again in 5 seconds' time. We'll call out quickly that Breed actually opted for the Titanic Hydra, so
oh my goodness.
Has some damage behind him here.
He said, I'm going to carry. I'm the carry now. But I like that. I mean, it's more damage.
1-0-0 has had a massive performance so far this game, catching waves against Finn. And now you can see already looking to group up around this Baron. As Finn starts it off, Weibo needs to try and find a way in. Chris puts a control ward over the wall, and now they know that it's been started.
Yep, it's not particularly fast right now because Elk is just out here trying to poke these guys down, but I think BLG are just sticking to this right now. I'm not sure if that's the move. You do have Pop Blossom, you do have the ultimate from Elk as well, that lightning crash, but it's down below 3,000 HP. Tian is in the fight. Here we go for the flip. Tian secures it. WBG Gaming secures it again. Here's the Impale, only on one member as it's Shadow, but look on the side. On is forced out. It's going to be a 5v4 for right now, but On is trying to get in there. He does throw the clone at them and say, all right, it's time for me to get out. We'll buy some room for BLG. But again, it's just Weibo winning.
And Tian hits them with the mine now, and he just walks in, takes it away. With Weibo having complete control over mid lane, maybe they could look for the tier 2. Instead, they look to base. 45 seconds on the Infernal Dragon. That is now 4 for 4. The Barons that Weibo have picked up for themselves versus BLG.
Why are we doing this, Baron?
And BLG, they just clearly think that they've got the smite. With Shadow, really, there's no way that a Pantheon should ever lose it with fully stacked Q and a Q smite combo. It's really easy to secure Barons as Pantheon, so let's see what happens in the pit here. Looks like just Shadow's not ready for it.
Oh.
Uses the Q, doesn't use the smite, or vice versa, but it's picked up by Tian.
I think he did smite. It went from 1500, 15 to like 300. Which is easy pickings for Tian at that point.
5 seconds before this Infernal Dragon spawns. Look at the bounties now on Weibo's side. If they lose this fight, that's a lot of gold that will go into the back pockets of BLG, but they're the ones that are engaging.
The Dragon's gone.
I breathe with 6,000 health.
Yeah, he's got 6,000 health. He's got a Titanic Hydra. We thought that, oh, Weibo might not have the damage. Breathe said, don't worry, boys, I'm bringing the damage. We see a little bit of jockeying for position here in the mid lane. On one Sin, 5-man Pop Blossom. This has to be the fight. But guess who's fine? It's Xiaohu in the middle of the fight. He finds on and he goes golden. And Breathe is doing good damage. Xiaohu is looking for more, but he's stunned up. And now he's got to slide out. Tian dragging Bin back, but he flashes away. Breathe goes down. Weibo health bar's blinking, but Knight gets rooted up, and he's gonna live. Is he gonna die? Yes, he does. Tian flashes forward. Shadow goes in. He's looking for more. They manage to find one. Shadow goes in for more. Once again, he looks for light. BLG miraculously finding the ace, and they want to end.
It's a triple for Elk in the back half, and Tibbers, the MVP, just destroyed Weibo as they chased down the rest of the BLG members. It's a disaster for Weibo Gaming, and big long games are forcing us to a series decider.
What a crazy game. Yes, it might have been 15 minutes less, but it still had all the action, all the impact in a final fight, where Shadow redeems himself, where Elk comes up huge, Knight comes up huge, and we're going to game 3.
Honestly, where Tibbers comes up huge, like look back at that fight, when we see the replays, when we see the highlights, and just watch Tibbers, only Tibbers in that fight, and see what happens. It's absolute carnage from the bear, just walking around mauling people, Malignant's proccing, like Andrew's going off the back of that, and taking down Weibo in a fight that they thought that they were going to win.
I cannot believe this happened, bro.
No.
I have no idea.
One more of those, please.
Yes, please. I would like one more banger, please. I just don't understand what's like Weibo. They are chasing so hard. We saw it earlier in this game where they got themselves behind by over chasing after that bot lane play where they killed Shadow. And then they overchase here in a fight, in a situation where the game is now in their favor, right? They are the ones with 3 dragons that was just, all right, guys, now we just got to play for soul. But saw the blinking health bar and Tian said, I must. And everybody else is like, well, my Skarner is going in, so we can go in too. But Shadow, Bin, and Elk had something to say about that one, Rudude. Wow, that game delivered.
And bad news for all of you Scale and Fail fans out there. Unfortunately, BLG, they scaled and they won.
They failed upward this game.
They did fail upwards. They really tried. They gave Weibo a Baron for free. Well, I say that. Tian stole away a Baron. They leashed the Baron for them. And then, honestly, BLG having some woes in these mid to late game situations. I do still think that BLG's early game has looked incredible. They're finding these advantages, and honestly, again, during this game, they had a lead for a good portion of it.
Yeah.
But then they threw.
Yeah, then they threw, and, you know, it's just over-aggression, again, by Shadow. It's like, whenever BLG has a problem, why is it always the junglers? I think Shadow is just not playing up to how he was playing during the honeymoon, but while they did have a bump in the road against AL, and game 1 here, and a large majority of game 2, this could be the win that turns it back around for BLG, just as that loss against AL was what put them on this mini skid. Now this is like, all right, guys, we can breathe a sigh of relief. We got our game win. Let's go close out this series and go home.
That's, hey, we imported from the UK. You've fully taken over the Copium Emporium right now. They have slammed on the brakes, and really tried their hardest. And I think that if they close out this series, maybe we can have that discussion. But there are problems in the BLG camp. This next game needs to be as convincing as anything, and they need to be returned back to, all right, 25 minutes, bosh, we're finished, thank you.
But we know that Weibo Gaming can do the same. The question is, can they actually do the same against BLG? Because they did it against WE, but BLG are not WE. Let's go ahead and take a look at this gold chart. This is the one of, we're going to say the line, Rudude.
That's an LPL gold graph if I ever saw one.
Yep, one of the most LPL gold graphs of all time, baby.
But again, to give some credit to Weibo in this game, because they deserved it quite a lot, because they ended up finding themselves in a little bit of trouble. But Xiaohu and Crisp, again with 100% kill participation, fishing, finding these plays to bring their way back into it.
Teacher, I have a question.
Yes.
Okay. How do you feel about giving a losing player MVP?
I mean, you can't, unfortunately.
I know.
I feel
well,
like...
listen, hold on. You can do this in traditional sports. I don't think I've ever seen it in League. But I think that this game is a good case example of how you should really give MVP to a losing player. Because Xiaohu played his ass off this game.
I mean, this is the one game where I'd like to give it to well, not inanimate, but to a summon. I want to give it to Tibbers.
Yeah,
Tibbers
I think
needs
it's
the MVP
Xiaohu,
for this game.
Tibbers, and then like Crisp.
Yeah. And ultimately, when we do give MVPs to losing teams, it's normally for some slightly toxic reasons. Because
this one isn't. That's the worst part. This one's an actual one that I'm like, guys, we must give it to this guy.
Yeah, like you remember back to MSI where we were giving on MVPs for FlyQuest winning games. Like,
exactly.
Those are the types of situations we're talking about. And in fairness to on this game, honestly, the fight right at the end was a 5-man pot blossom. We were saying this is the best it can get for you, and it still looked this close. I think that he got quite focused, quite isolated here in this situation, and Elk had some really, really disastrous team fights.
He flashed into it.
Yeah, he dashes in here.
No, he flashed into the impale to try to get out of the way of Xiaohu.
Well, even still, he shouldn't dash into a Silas anyway. But
all right, let's take a look at this last fight. Apparently, Light, very tough fight for this man.
Yeah, he doesn't auto-attack here at all. He gets caught by Nico and then does nothing.
Oh, no.
But let's keep a track of Tibbers. Let's keep track of Tibbers.
All right, Tibbers is putting in work here. Massive damage coming out.
Having a good time. Malignance procs everywhere. Malignance procs everywhere. Xiaohu's been Malignance procs like Andries. More Malignance procs. He's just going crazy. And then the re-engage. Okay, we'll pull Tibbers back. That's fine. Gets a burst of health from the Annie dying.
That's where you gotta walk away.
Boom! Double Malignance, triple Malignance. Lyandry's going down. Boom! Like, it went crazy. I'm not kidding.
That's when you gotta walk away. Tian went in, got that kill. You must cut and run there. They elected to go a little bit further, and the Berserk Tibbers, you are correct.
Yeah.
The Berserk Tibbers was the MVP of that fight. Regular Tibbers, good damage. Berserk Tibbers, fight winning. Game winning, in fact. Shadow just had... It was just easy for Shadow. He's like, well, I just got to point and click these guys, I guess. Listen, if you got to make it that easy for your jungler, do it.
Yeah, and that's honestly what happened this game. Shout out to Knight for being able to die and let his Tibbers do the crazy work. That was really what won them the game, I'm going to be honest. So I don't know who's going to get MVP. Maybe On gets MVP for the 5-man pot blossom at the end.
Yeah.
Or maybe Xiaohu gets MVP for Tibbers going crazy.
Maybe...
not Xiaohu.
Knight. Yeah, I know.
Gets it for Tibbers
going
crazy.
Everybody knows what you mean.
Xiaohu should have got MVP.
Xiaohu definitely should have got MVP. I hope that maybe.
Nah, they couldn't. They could never. Yeah. Okay.
I can't even say it's an unethical MVP because he just came up huge in that last fight. He came
if you have to find a player on BLG to give that to, it has to be On. It has to be On.
Yep, yeah. You couldn't agree more, my friend. Well, while I mentioned earlier this game was not 50 minutes, it delivered and hit just as hard as a 50-minute game. The question is, Rudude, do Weibo Gaming and BLG have one more of those in them? We'll find out after this short break.